Money, money, money is so funny in a rich man's world. Yes, hello everybody, and welcome back to British English Pod with me, Lewis. And of course, this week we're going to speak all about money, money, money. Money makes the world go round, as they say. And I actually like speaking about money. Money can be a bit of a taboo subject for many people, but I don't share that view. Personally, I think it's normal, healthy, and actually productive and beneficial for all of us to speak about money and learn more about money and look into our relationship with money. Because some people can have a bit of a toxic relationship with money. We can have people who are really stingy and tight-fisted and don't want to spend anything, and then other people who are always splashing out on useless stuff. Okay, lots of vocabulary. Let me just go over some of those words. If you are stingy, you are tight-fisted, you are cheap, it means you don't like spending money. And the opposite could be generous, or someone who splashes out on different things. So to splash out is to spend a lot of money on something. And we could also say to fork out. But usually there's a slight difference between the two phrasal verbs. If you're splashing out, you're doing it with the idea of enjoying whatever you are paying for. I splashed out on a 3 Michelin star meal the other week. I enjoyed it. I had a great time. However, if I say, ugh, I had to fork out 500 euros on my electricity, gas, and I don't know what else, bills that month. And here I'm showing that if you fork out for something, it's a necessary expense that you really don't want to have to pay for, and it's expensive. Then, whilst we're speaking about phrasal verbs, I could also use the phrasal verb to cut down on or cut back on if I want to show that I'm trying to reduce my expenses. At the moment, I'm trying to cut down on unnecessary expenses, like having a coffee outside. Because if I use my coffee machine, it's so much cheaper. I can save so much more money if I don't go to a nice cafe and get my usual flat white. Because these unnecessary expenses, over a period of time, they add up. And, you can notice it in your wallet and your bank account and your pocket. All right. You can tell I like speaking about money and teaching about the topic money, can't you? Right? So, yeah, I like money. But let me know about you. Do you like speaking about money? Is money a taboo topic in your family or in your culture? Or is it something that people are open to discussing? Let me know in the comments and let me know how you are today. What are you up to? Where are you? What's the weather like? And so on. Because this last week or so, as I mentioned in the last podcast, it's been boiling. It's been roasting. But luckily, it has cooled down a little bit in the last few days. And now we have a beautiful temperature of 24 degrees, give or take. And the reason why I've chosen to speak about money and finance in this podcast is, again, because this is the topic of the week in my online community and speaking group, which is called the British English Immersion Club. If you are interested in joining the club, you can send me an email at English. No, let me repeat. At Lewis at englishwithlewis.com. I almost forgot. Or I'll also leave a link in the description in case you're interested in having private classes with me or joining the club. But be aware that there are limited spaces available in order to maintain the groups a small size. So that way everybody has enough time to have a chat and speak. And yeah, every week we have a different topic. Last week we were speaking about gerunds and infinitives, followed by different verbs. And this week we've been speaking about money and finance. Money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. And this is my first question. Do you think that money can buy happiness? This is the age-old question, the million-dollar question. Can money buy happiness? Well, it depends, of course. And one of the very common responses that I will hear from my students when I ask them if money can buy happiness is, well, no, but it helps, right? And I'm sure you agree with this, because money cannot buy happiness per se. It's not a direct equation. More money, happier. No, that's not the case, because there are many millionaires and billionaires who suffer from depression. So, for that reason, there is no way that money can buy happiness. But I do think a certain amount of money can buy you extra happiness because it buys you financial freedom. And financial freedom in this capitalist world means freedom in general. Let me explain what I mean here. Because let's imagine that you're 16, 17, 18, and you get your first job, and you start to earn, I don't know, 1,000 euros per month. With this amount of money and this paycheck, this salary, this wage, you're finally able to be more independent. You can go out with your own money and you can, I don't know, go to a city, travel, you can go to restaurants, you can do all of these things and become freer in your life without having to depend on your parents. Because if you're a child and a teenager, most of the time you are counting on your parents to give you pocket money, to give you like an allowance, which usually isn't a lot of money. In my case, I had pocket money when I was growing up, usually when I was a bit younger, and I'd get £5 every week, something similar. And that would give me the possibility of buying some sweets from a shop, or if I saved it up over a couple of months, maybe I could buy an Xbox game, or a PlayStation game, or a football, or a skateboard, these random things. And suddenly, when you get your first job, you're free. You have so many possibilities. The possibilities are endless. But that happiness probably won't last for a long time. Because then, when you realize how much things cost in life, you think, with only 1,000 euros, I can't really afford to move out of my mum and dad's house. So then your happiness starts to decrease until maybe you get a pay rise, or you get another job, or you get a promotion, and you start earning, let's say, 1,500. And at that moment, depending on where you live, of course, you think, oh, now I can afford to move out and share a flat with my friend. Suddenly, you get more freedom equals more happiness in general. So, this trend of money buying you freedom, I think usually results in more happiness. And you could say if you then start earning 3,000 per month, maybe you can afford to buy your own house and get a mortgage. Or you can afford to go on more trips with your significant other. So again, you become happier. And then let's say if you start earning 10,000 euros a month, you start to become rich, really. So now you can stop worrying about how much money you have in the bank. You can stop worrying about paying any bills. You can splash the cash and enjoy your life without really thinking about it, because you don't have to be penny pinching. To penny pinch is basically to try to save money where possible. So you don't have to penny pinch if you're earning so much money. And again, this means you are happier. From that point, I'm not sure if money does actually buy you more happiness. From 10,000 euros per month, I don't think it makes a difference, honestly. From that point, you are rich and you start to become a millionaire. But yeah, I don't think it buys you more happiness. But let me know. First, do you agree with my hypothesis about money and happiness and how they are linked? And do you agree that money can or can't buy you happiness? Let me know in the comments. Now, today for this week's podcast, I'd like to do something slightly different. So, I often share my screen and show you lots of conversation questions, and I answer them at the same time. And I'm going to do something similar today with a little tweak, a little difference. And that difference is I'm going to be sharing with you a full lesson plan that I made years ago, to be honest. But it's still pretty accurate and still pretty good. So I'm going to share my screen and basically walk you through a lesson plan related to money and finance. And at the same time, I'll be teaching you expressions, advanced vocabulary, and having a chat and debating these interesting money topics. How does that sound? Good, I hope. In that case, I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully, I don't have a nightmare like last week when I was recording and my laptop started overheating. So I'm praying that that doesn't happen. Let's see. Fingers crossed, my favorite phrase. Fingers crossed. All right. So here we've got some warm-up questions. The first one, how important is money for you? As I mentioned, I think money is fundamental, it's essential, it's vital in modern lives, because if you don't have money, you can't afford to do anything. You're kind of lost. But it's only important to a certain point, and that is when you are able to pay your bills, you're able to do things in your free time, you don't have to borrow money from the bank. After that, I don't think money really matters that much. I want to be rich, of course. I want to earn double what I earn at the moment. But I don't really want to be a millionaire or billionaire. Like, billionaires, they earn too much money. It's not right. It's not fair. They should share all of their money. Millionaires is a different thing, because I think we should all aspire to be millionaires. It would be great for the economy. Everybody would have a better life. But when you become a billionaire, it's just not moral, because you have so much more money than everybody else, and you can't really do that much more. You look at Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all of these famous billionaires, they should give back a lot of the money that they make, because they should be millionaires, maybe multimillionaires. But billionaires? What? Billionaires should not exist. And I'm no communist, I promise. All right, anyway, number 2. Are you good at managing your finances? And how do you do it? Well, I didn't used to be good at it, but I've never been bad at it. To be honest, now I'm starting to become better at managing my finances. And I do it by knowing more or less how much money I have to spend every month in rent, internet, food, all of these essentials. I know roughly how much money I have to spend, and then I estimate how much I spend per week on meeting friends, going out, doing these things that are non-essential, that we need in our leisure time to be happy, really. And from there, I will estimate how much I'm going to earn per month. And that way, I know if I'm able to save €100, €200, or €300. And often the money that we save is then invested in your holidays and presents and stuff like that. But I don't keep an Excel or anything similar, but I think I'm getting better and better at managing my finances. Number 3, as I mentioned, as a child, I spent my pocket money on sweets and stuff like that, but sometimes some games, skateboard, a ball, and meeting up with my friends. And number 4, imagine you inherited millions from a distant relative. What would you do with it? What would you do with the money if you inherited millions from a distant relative? If I inherited millions from a distant relative, I think I would buy a house or buy 2 houses, one house to live in, and then I would pay it all in one go in a single lump sum and not have to worry about a mortgage. And the other one, I would probably do the same, but I would try to rent it out, maybe on Airbnb, and get an agency to rent it to tourists somewhere, so then I can make some passive income. Very sensible. That's me, a sensible man. With my money, I'm a sensible guy. Not stingy, not tight-fisted, but frugal. Frugal is quite a nice way of saying that you are good with money, or thrifty. Thrifty is a better word. So I like to be thrifty with my money. I like to save it as much as possible, but with a positive way. Good. All right. Now, number 5. Tell us about a bar or restaurant which is good value for money. I'd say maybe not a restaurant, but a kind of fast food bakery chain in the UK that you might be familiar with, which is called Greggs. And Greggs is such good value for money because you can buy sandwiches, the famous sausage rolls, some coffee, tea, etc., and you get it for peanuts. It doesn't cost hardly anything. It's peanuts. So Greg's, for me, is a great option and a great place that is good value for money. There is a good relationship between the quality and the cost. Now, number 6, have you ever invested in any stocks or shares? Yes, I have. And to be honest, this is a little bit of a hobby of mine at the moment. And it's a very new thing because I listen to lots of podcasts and watch lots of YouTube videos about professional development, about passive income, about trying to be a better entrepreneur. And one of the fundamental things that a lot of people recommend is, well, not keeping your money in a bank. Because if you keep your money in a bank without a good interest rate, that means that your money is losing value over time. It means that your purchasing power, basically your ability to buy things, reduces over time because the value of your money reduces over time. Because, of course, the cost of everything is always going up. If you think about how much, I don't know, a beer cost 10 years ago and how much it costs now, or how much sweets cost when you were a child and how much they cost now, how much a flat cost 30 years ago and how much it costs now, the prices have gone up so much. They've risen. They have increased. They have skyrocketed or surged. So, if we think of it like that, it's not sensible to keep money in a bank account if you don't get interest on the money that you have there. There are some savings accounts that will give you an interest rate of 2 or 3% per year, and that balances the difference between inflation and your purchasing power. So I would recommend doing this if you don't want to invest in stocks or shares, to keep your money in a savings account where you get interest on the money you have. I do this with some of my money, but I don't want to recommend anyone to invest because I'm no expert. But what I personally have started to do this year, after reading up on it a lot, is to automatically save a little bit of money every month and put it in an ETF. And an ETF is basically a collection of lots of different stocks, lots of different companies. So the most famous ETF is the S&P 500. And this is, well, a combination of the 500 most valuable public companies in the United States. So that includes lots of banks and, of course, the big players in the market like Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Tesla, Nvidia, Amazon, and so on. So I automatically put money into this fund every month without really realizing. And historically, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, if you just never cash out, you never withdraw the money, your money goes up on average like 8 or 9% per year. It can be volatile, so during the same year, it might go up and gain value and then go down and lose value. So if you are afraid of risk, don't do it at all. But it makes sense because it counteracts inflation, and usually you make a little profit at the same time. And this is going to continue in the same way unless the whole world becomes communist, or if the world basically ceases to exist. If we continue in a similar model at the moment, historically, based on statistics, our money is only going to go up because the stocks of these big companies historically only goes up. And when you invest in these stocks, you become an owner of these companies and you can cash out, withdraw whenever you want, and then usually you would make a profit. Of course, the broker or trader will keep a small percentage and you will have to declare it as taxable income as well. But you still end up better off than if you leave it in a bank that doesn't have savings, that doesn't have an interest on your money. Because that way, it's just going to lose value over time. So, what do you think? Do you think I'm an expert in money? I'm not, I promise. But I have been doing a lot of research recently, and I find it quite interesting. Maybe it's a new passion of mine. Maybe I'll become finance with Lewis instead of English with Lewis. Who knows? Now let's keep going. Let's move on. Credit cards. What are the pros and cons of credit cards? Of credit cards. Well, I've never had a credit card ever because I'm afraid of being in debt and owing money. But from what I've heard, credit cards are good because if you don't have the money, you can borrow it, even though there will be a bit of interest on the money borrowed. But for banks, if you're interested in getting a loan, like a mortgage to buy a house in the future, they say that having a credit card, borrowing money, and then paying it off at the end of the month is a good financial operation because it proves to banks that you are trustworthy, you are reliable, and then it improves your credit score. I don't do this. Maybe I should. But they say this is good, so then you can get a better rate when you get a loan or a mortgage. But on the other hand, the cons. I think there are more cons. Depending on your personality and your willpower, like the fact that you can easily borrow money is dangerous, and it could be a slippery slope because you could start to do it, and then maybe you don't have as much income as you had before, and then the interest goes up. So you get into a vicious cycle where you owe money and the money you owe goes up and up and up. So I think credit cards can be a little bit dangerous, if you ask me. But let me know, do you have a credit card? Not a debit card, but a credit card. Because, of course, I have debit cards and I use debit cards a lot. But the difference is that with debit cards, you can't spend more money than you have. But with credit cards, you can. Oh, yeah. Now, another little debate. A cashless world. What are the positives and negatives of living in a world without physical cash? Personally, I believe that it's inevitable and it's going to happen. And we will live in a cashless world in the near future. We can already see that this is happening. Now, it's very hard to go to a different country and city, bar, restaurant, supermarket, and not be able to pay by card. I pay on my phone almost all the time. So it's hard to do this. And I think it's in the interest of most governments to actually enforce paying by card, because then the people above can track us and they can get more data from us. Because cash nowadays, I think it's only used by people who get paid in cash, maybe to avoid paying taxes, or people who, are involved in some shady, dodgy businesses, illegal activity, or perhaps elderly people who haven't really got used to the fact that everything nowadays is online. But I think even that number of people is reducing significantly. Now, if we think about people who are in their 70s, they've been using debit cards and banking apps for the last 10 or 20 years even. So I think it's inevitable that we will transition into a cashless world. And overall, I think it's just more convenient. It's easier. So, knowing that, I think everybody prefers convenience. Everybody prefers the easy option because having cash in your pocket isn't that common anymore. I never draw money out of a cash machine or ATM. I don't remember the last time I did it, in fact. So, I think we're only going in one direction. All right, a little activity. I'm going to read a sentence, and you have to guess the money word. I'll give you a clue. Don't worry. But if you are not watching the video, don't worry. Absolutely fine. You can listen, and I'm going to explain each sentence. But for each one, there is a word that is difficult that I have covered, and I'm going to read the sentence, and you have to think what word it could be. So the first one. I can't wait to move into my new house. I paid the recently. Now I have a 30-year mortgage. Let me repeat. I can't wait to move into my new house. I paid the recently. Now I have a 30-year-old mortgage. So we need the word which is the 20-30% that you pay to the bank as like a deposit in order to guarantee your mortgage. And the word is a down payment. So I can't wait to move into my new house. I paid the down payment recently. Now I have a 30-year mortgage. Good job. Next. My partner is so, he never wants to spend money on anything other than food. My partner is so, he never wants to spend money on anything other than food. So here we're looking for the word. I've said it a couple of times. It is when someone doesn't want to spend money. So, and by the way, you can repeat after me. This is a good shadowing exercise because I'm saying the phrases slowly and you can read them at the same time. And shadowing is when you copy someone's pronunciation to try to improve your pronunciation. All right, here's the answer. My partner is so stingy. He never wants to spend money on anything other than food. Next, I'm thinking of making an... Should I buy company shares on the stock market? Let me repeat. I'm thinking of making an... Should I buy company shares on the stock market? I think we know this. We've been discussing it. It comes from the verb to invest. It is the noun. So, I'm thinking of making an investment. Should I buy company shares on the stock market? Good job. The fourth one. This is the best deal ever. You get a laptop for just €10 per month for 2 years. Let me repeat. This is the best deal ever. You get a laptop for just €10 per month for 2 years. Okay, this word is something that is very, very cheap. It's good value for money. Here's the answer. This is a bargain. The best deal ever. You get a laptop for just €10 per month for 2 years. Number 5. My last laptop was a... I couldn't believe it. I'm never going to buy a MacBook ever again. Let me repeat. My last laptop was a... I couldn't believe it. I'm never going to buy a MacBook ever again. And this is the opposite of bargain. Something that's too expensive. My last laptop was a rip-off. I couldn't believe it. I'm never going to buy a MacBook ever again. So a rip-off is something that's too expensive. That laptop is a rip-off. Number 6. Hey, would I be able to... €5? I've not got my wallet with me, and they only take cash. Let me repeat. Hey, would I be able to... €5? I've not got my wallet with me, and they only take cash. Here's the answer, and it is the verb when you ask to have something or use something and return it. I'm sure you already know it. Hey, would I be able to borrow €5? I've not got my wallet with me, and they only take cash. Easy peasy, right? By the way, I don't know if you heard that, but my stomach was rumbling. It's almost lunchtime. But first, we are doing this podcast. Come on. All right, number 7. I'm sorry, I can't to keep going to yoga classes, so I'd like to cancel my subscription right away. I'm sorry, I can't to keep going to yoga classes, so I'd like to cancel my subscription right away. This is a common verb which means to be able to pay for something. I can't afford to keep going to yoga classes, so I'd like to cancel my subscription right away. Good. Okay, number 8. Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but I, you my tablet, and you still haven't given it back yet. Let me repeat. Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt, but you my tablet, and you still haven't given it back yet. This is the verb that is the opposite of borrow. If you borrow something, you take it and return it. Whereas this verb, you give it to someone and you expect them to return it to you. Here's the answer. Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt, but I lent you my tablet and you still haven't given it back yet. Fantastic. Now the penultimate one, number 9. What's the total for your company's training and professional development? What's the total for your company's training and professional development? This is the total amount of money that you have for a specific purpose. Here's the answer. What's the total budget for your company's training and professional development? Lovely. And now, last but not least, number 10. I can't believe how some CEOs can be. They're already billionaires, but they still want to earn more. This is related to what I was talking about earlier about these billionaires being immoral. I'll repeat. I can't believe how some CEOs can be. They're already billionaires, but they still want to earn more. This is an adjective to describe someone who always wants more. They're never satisfied, and it is one of the 7 deadly sins. Here's the answer. I can't believe how greedy some CEOs can be. They're already billionaires, but they still want to earn more. Woo, woo, woo! Okay, there we have these random money words. If any of the meanings are unclear to you, just let me know and I'd be happy to explain them in further detail. And let me know, were you able to guess the correct money words? I gave you some clues, so I don't think it will have been too difficult. But let's find out. Now let's move on and continue to use these words in conversation. And the first question is, what's the standard procedure for getting a mortgage? Now, I'm not 100% sure because I've never done it myself. I don't have a mortgage. I rent my flat, but my sister has got a mortgage. Some of my friends have got a mortgage. And I think the standard procedure is, well, you look for a house that you would like to invest in and buy. And you go with an estate agent, for example. And if you decide that you want to actually purchase that property, you need to speak to different banks. And every bank will have a mortgage advisor, and they will give you advice on what your budget is, what the interest rate will be, how much you need to pay in the initial down payment, and they will show you the way. And I imagine there are lots of little steps, but you'll have to prove how much you earn per month, maybe how much you have in the bank in terms of savings, and then they will give you either a higher interest or a lower interest. And this interest could be fixed, so it's always the same, or variable, so it goes up and down depending on inflation. And once they give you the green light and confirm the mortgage to you, it comes out of your bank every month and you are paying off the mortgage until you've completely paid it off. And then the house is really yours, because before then, it's almost as if the house belongs to the bank. So that is my simple way of understanding how getting a mortgage works. But I suppose it changes a little bit in different countries. Cool. I'm going to skip the next question and go to, how stingy or generous are you? Now, I'm not the most generous person in the world. I'd be lying if I said I was. But I don't think I'm the most stingy person in the world either. Like, I do try to be thrifty and save my money where possible because I think it's sensible and it's what we should be doing. But I don't worry about it too much. And if I go out to a restaurant or I go to a bar, I don't mind getting a round in and paying for that round. But I'm not going to randomly start paying for everybody's drinks. And I'm not going to buy big, lavish, amazing, luxurious presents because I don't think it's sensible. So, what do you think? Do you think I'm a stingy person? Or am I just sensible? Or am I really, really generous? I doubt it, but who knows? Okay, let me skip the next question and move to, do you set a budget when you go shopping? So, I don't really buy clothes. I don't really buy shoes, clothes in general, unless I really need to. First, because I don't find it interesting. I don't enjoy going shopping. And I also don't like accumulating lots of stuff. Because if I accumulate it, then at some point, I'm either going to have to throw it away, give it away, like donate it, or maybe sell it on one of these apps like, what's it called? There's an app in my mind where you can sell secondhand clothes. But right now I can't remember the name. I was speaking with my family about it a couple of weeks ago because my mum was saying she was going to start trying to sell things that she's got that she doesn't use anymore. And now, for some reason, I can't remember. So, I apologize. My memory sometimes is like a sieve. Things just disappear. You could also say I have the memory of a goldfish. But returning to the question, if I set a budget when I go shopping, well, not really. Not a specific budget. But when I go and do a food shop, I do look at how much everything costs. And if I see that something has been reduced, my eyes light up. And I'm like, ooh, 50% off. 40% off. 20% off. I get excited. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Nice expression. To be like a kid in a candy store means that you're like, well, you're very excited. You're buzzing. So when I see in the supermarket that there are offers, buy one, get one free, 50% off, I'm like a kid in a candy store. And I have to buy it because I feel like I'm beating the system in one way or another. Maybe that shows that I am stingy after all. All right, let's keep going. Now I'm going to skip these money idioms and I'm going to discuss some other stuff. And I'm going to go right to the end of this PowerPoint. So here we've got 6 more questions. I'm going to answer them and then we will call it a day. So, number 1, what would life be like without money? Life without money would be maybe a beautiful thing. Maybe there wouldn't be any evil. People wouldn't commit crimes. People wouldn't be greedy. But I think if money didn't exist, there would be something else that would replace it. Something would replace money, and then that thing, whether it's gold or, I don't know, food, would then become the toxic material that makes people go a little bit crazy. That's what I think, but who knows? There's no real way of knowing. I'm just making things up as I go along. Now, number 2, have you ever raised money for charity? This is a little bit embarrassing because I haven't really, and maybe I should. On that note, I'd like to make a recommendation because my friend Laura from Smashing English, I can't remember when it is, but she is going to do a 24-hour session teaching English online, live for 24 hours. and she's doing it to raise money for charity. I think it was a charity related to human trafficking. And she sent me a message about it a few weeks ago, and I reposted a story of her advertising this charity teaching marathon. So maybe I should do something similar, or maybe I should help Laura from Smashing English and join her for an hour or two. Maybe I'll do it because I haven't really raised money for charity. I've grown my mustache for Movember and raised a little bit of money for charity like that, which is every November. Men sometimes grow their mustache to raise awareness for charity and mental health and men's health in particular. So, yeah. Number 3, what are the best degrees to study to earn big? Now, we've got these classic examples of studying medicine, dentistry, law, maybe, and engineering, any kind of engineering, maybe architecture. I'm sure there are more, but these are some of the, and finance or economics as well. These are some of the classic traditional things that you can study to earn big salaries. But I think the people who earn the biggest salaries are people who are entrepreneurs, business people who have their own companies. You have the possibility to scale up much faster, and it depends on you and not on the company or your colleagues. And other ones that are not degrees, but can allow you to take home a big wad of cash is being an electrician, or even being a builder, or being a plumber, or a joiner. All of these kind of handy professions that you don't need to go to university to do a degree to become an electrician, a joiner, or a plumber. The average salary is really, really high. So maybe this is something people should do more often. And let's finish with the final couple of questions, which is, have you ever lost or won a lot of money? And I have lost money once because I invested in a thing which was called Football Index. And it was like a stock market for footballers, and their value would go up and down, and you could sell them or you could buy them. So I invested some money in this during the pandemic because it was like a hobby. And then, silly me, the company went bankrupt and went bust. Bankrupt and bust, they're synonyms. So I lost all of my money because the company was clearly not a very legal company. So that's a lesson to everybody. Before deciding to invest in any companies or anything, make sure that this company is legal, reputable, and has the backing of the government or the central bank. So yeah, I lost €1,000 during the pandemic because I was kind of betting and speculating on this website. And then all of a sudden, the website went bust. It was a bit of a pyramid scheme by the looks of it, which isn't cool. And have you ever won a lot of money? No, not really. I've won a couple of poker tournaments with my friends, and I used to play a little bit of online poker when I was quite a lot younger, and I'd sometimes win a little bit of money, but then I'd lose the money after. So I think overall I broke even. There was no profit nor loss. I broke even. And I've never won the lottery. I wish, if only. So yeah, I hope that happens at some point soon. Now, that's it. Money, money, money. Money, money, money. It's so funny in a rich man's world. What do you reckon? Am I a good singer? Do I have the voice of an angel? Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe you think so. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening or watching. I hope you found it useful. And if you like it when I go through some of my lesson plans, let me know and I can do it with upcoming podcasts as well. Because for the rest of the month, I'm going to continue with basing the topic of the podcast on what I have been doing and discussing with my students in the British English Immersion Club. And I have PowerPoints for these things. So if you like this model, let me know. And yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, as always. And I hope you like this video and leave a comment if you did enjoy it. And I appreciate your support so much. You guys are the best. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.